products, but the lead product, yeah.
That would do awesome.
Well, we're gonna kick. I'm starting to do the advertising. I'm starting to shoot content, video, and stills and advertising stuff at the end of this week.
So where you get your product?
Yeah.
Cop or CIA? FBI? What is it? What's your
Marcus.
It's a Shopify deal with a couple of vendors that do print on demand and drop ship. It's their whole thing. No inventory. But the argument is template. They're in the upper class template. It's all template.
Long time to see. Good, good. How have you done? What is it?
What product do you want? Look, products. Oh, look, fashion. Look, oh, menu choices. Oh, menu choices. And so you bring it down and let it freeze. Starting building this. Well, how did we get into this? What did I ask you? I asked you something specifically. Oh, that's what the campaign's for.
Oh,
okay. So Instagram, Pinterest, and
that would do awesome.
Look at this. All original.
So I'll go over the part.
You can take that down now. Should I take it down?
Oh yeah.
Well, you don't have. That's.
Do you mind if I leave it up? Do you mind if I leave it up? Or would you rather? Well, I'll go ahead and
go back to it. You got it's on tab.
So did you already start? It's on tab. Did you start? Did you already start on it? The campaign? Did you already start on it?
So right up against you. Right up against.
So even though it's not a common instrument for that use, it works very well. We go ahead and take the
Okay. Is there anybody who's new for the first time at this meetup? Anybody else? Okay. Welcome to the group. So just, I guess, for those who are not familiar with what we are about, we're basically anything that you have any questions about internet marketing, business, online. You can even ask some website questions. I'm not a web designer by any means, but we do have some really smart people in the group here that are open to sharing. And by all means, my main goal is that if you come with any questions, that either you get a chance to, at least one, you get a chance to ask it. But if we don't get the answer, then maybe we can find out for you before, for the next meetup, and we can get in touch with you out there. So the group is very casual as far as just raise your hand if you have a question. We officially supposed to end at 8:30. So if you need to leave, by all means, nobody will think it rude if you have, you have to leave the babysitter or leave earlier. You can go ahead and do that. Barnes & Noble has asked that we do some sort of promotion to help out the store. We've been using this room for like 3 years now, 2.5, 3 years. So, and I told them that in the past I used to push some of their books, but every time I've asked for it, sometimes it didn't come in by the time that it has. But I do go through a lot of different type of educational books. One that I am going through right now is a book called 48 Days to the Work You Love. So if anybody has an interest in this, has anybody heard of Cliff Ravenscraft, the podcast Answer Man? He's a really popular, he actually set up a lot of the big podcasters that are in the business and internet marketing niches. A lot of their business, they're podcasting. He set up a lot of their systems and put them in place and told them how to do it. He's really popular with the internet marketing group, but that changed his life. Basically, he read that book, it put him in a mindset to understand. A lot of people today grow up thinking that the more you hate your job, but if you're good at it, that's the way you make more money. You deserve to get paid more because you hate doing what you're doing, so you get compensated monetarily. And basically, this book is one that starts to change your mindset of it. Is if you really, really love your work, and that you even do it for free, then you should be compensated if you're helping other people anyway. It's all about helping the everybody else, and you get basically compensated by sharing knowledge, and you should love what you do, and you can even make basically it's limitless. So that's kind of the premise of the book on how to change your mindset and then get into finding ways to escape the 9 to 5 to go ahead and do something that you really enjoy doing and starting your own business on that. So if you're interested in that, that's a really good. I'm on chapter 3 right now, but it's already been quite enlightening, I say. Let's see. Before I start, does anybody have any general question that they want to make sure that they ask before we begin? Because my subjects are not going to take too long. Steve's going to share what's going on with him too, but we're probably going to have some free time. So if there's somebody has a question about something that they brought up that they want to have asked, we can always go into certain things a little later, or even answer it earlier. Anybody? If it comes up later, by all means, please make sure that you ask whenever it does come up. So this, my main subject today is actually, I bought a course called The Power of Pinning. And it's at powerofpinning.com. And basically, it's just by this lady, Melanie Duncan, who runs multiple businesses. And one thing basically she talked about that really kind of, the average order value on Pinterest is $179 versus on Facebook it's $80. Well, I see new statistics. Sometimes Facebook actually is up higher, about $130. But by far, Pinterest has the highest average sale that comes out of most of the social media platforms and the advertising that comes out. They also talk a lot about how Pinterest is a discovery mode type social media. So when somebody's actually on Pinterest and they're looking for something, it's not like Facebook, where Facebook ads are kind of interrupting what they're looking for when they're looking at nieces' pictures, nephews' pictures, friends, what's going on and what they're doing, and then this ad is popping up in front of them. Whereas Pinterest, when somebody is actually on that platform, they're actually already in a mode of a certain subject that they're looking at, and the ads that are coming up are very relevant for whatever that subject matter is, or their interests that are already there. Now, I use Pinterest in a completely different manner than most. I have a lot of more tutorials that are on mine. I actually opened another, I wonder if I have another here.
Chris, was there a book or a course that you mentioned at the very beginning of this?
Power of Pinning. Yeah, so that's the one I went through to go ahead and that I've been studying over the last week. Now, full disclaimer here, I finished the course today. I've been going through the videos that are on there. There's very little text to it, so there's not much to show because it was all videos. The course was $297. I am not advocating you get this course because I don't really think anybody needs it. It was, I'm going to share with you the premise of what it is. In my opinion, I feel as though I got my value out of it, only because there's a lot of stuff I just didn't know about Pinterest in general. But now if I take what I learned and I actually tell my wife about it, because she doesn't like to sit through videos, but if I take a synopsis and tell her, this is what the lady said you need to do, then she can totally do it. Now, one of the reasons why I'm a big advocate for Pinterest is because no, I have a site called Kids Money Farm that actually does play money templates. And play money templates, where you can just download, it's free to go ahead and download. And when I first started getting into all of this internet marketing and learning about building websites and making money on the internet, I bought a small course for like $300, and then the guy said, find the subject that people are searching on. And if you can, put some content out there that people can download for free, and then put ads on the site, and people will come. And what you do is you optimize your site so that Google can find it. And then when all this free traffic comes because Google's ranking your site, they're coming to your site, they're clicking on your ads, and you start making money. So I did that.
It's just that easy.
Yeah, that's exactly. So I told my wife, I'm quitting my job. We're going to make millions on the internet. We're going to start. And 4 months later, after I quit, I made my first penny. 4 months it took to make that first penny, right? But it started taking off as time had gone on. And of course, I was working other places doing some things on the side. But the actual concept of actually getting people to the site worked. Getting Google, the way the ranking worked, his little hints, tips, and secrets, it worked really well. As time had gone on, the momentum really just started to build up on the site. So I was getting all this free traffic. And by, I don't know, maybe about 2 years later, or 2.5 years later, I was making close to $800 a month without doing anything. I hadn't touched the site in like a year, and it just kept on gaining momentum, and I was making money off these ads that were coming on. So it was great. My wife then, she jumped on board. She made a couple of websites, and it made about $300 to $400 a month as well. So completely on the side income, we're about $1,000 coming in just from these websites that we built up, not selling a thing. We're giving away downloads is what it was. She built a website called Kids Bible Worksheets. So all it has is a whole bunch of Bible worksheets on there for children's ministry leaders or Sunday school teachers to download that they can use it. She stayed up for 2 weeks straight till like 3 in the morning just creating these worksheets, because we were also in children's ministry doing it ourselves. So she knew the kind of worksheets that would be useful even for us to use. The thing about lessons in Bible and church and Sunday school is when you're done with your lessons, the kid gets super restless. So worksheets were really good to just hand out to keep them busy. So she started creating all these sheets. Well, what happened was Google changed their algorithm about maybe 2 years later, and my site completely tanked. In fact, it disappeared for some reason for like almost, I don't know, 3-4 months. They're gone. So my wife was getting into Pinterest at this time, and she said, we'll start creating Pinterest boards. And then she started creating all of these Pinterest things, and she didn't put my sheets on. She basically just what she knew of how to use Pinterest, that became the #1 source of my traffic. And again, it's free. I mean, it was just social media, and it just started to spread again. I honestly believe I got a lot of my ranking back with more algorithms that have happened after Google and Bing, but I also believe it's because the Pinterest links that were on there that were being shared were then being also shared amongst other websites. They were using some of the stuff that was coming off Pinterest and putting on. There's been some I've actually had to stop and tell them don't use it because they've been actually claiming it as your own, and Google is ranking their sites with my content. And those people took it down because of the laws that are on there in place, but a lot of them are pretty fair about what they're doing. But Pinterest has been a really, really powerful source of traffic to my site. So look at actually Google seems to be actually back up as my #1 source. I've gotten my ranking back, like I said, but as far as it goes with this is my Google Analytics, and this is the social media channels. So as you can see, Pinterest is the only thing that we really promote on because of the pins that and we don't even do it anymore. She just did it that one time, put it out there. So it got 306 visitors or sessions, or 270 new visitors to the site, and that is over a time period of a week, the 29th to the 4th. So I don't know, what is that average per day? About 40, 30 a day, 40 a day. So I mean, and that 30, 40 a day that comes to my website, I have about a 5 to 8% click through, which means they click 5 to 8% of the visitors that come will click on an ad, which means I make money just by clicking on the ad. So the revenue is still coming in that way. Yep.
What's the bounce rate?
Bounce rate is 50%.
That's pretty normal for a site like that?
No, it could be better. Yeah, 53%. That's about average for my site. It's been down as low as 40, but it's built on an old, it's really ugly, and it's built on an old platform, and a lot of people will go there, but that's one of the reasons why I have a high click-through. It's been said that the uglier the site, the more people click on ads. So Pinterest has been something that's always been kind of powerful for us to go ahead and use. My wife loves the platform. I kind of enjoy it. It doesn't have like a bunch of stuff I don't care about, like, I don't know, things that are going on with, you know, like Facebook. There's so much politics that people post on there, those type of things, and I don't have to friend people. Pinterest knows kind of what I'm looking for, and you know, and they send me an email, pins you might like, and I have and I'm really active on pin boards for Excel. And my job that I recently picked up 3 months ago, we use a lot of different Excel shortcuts and formulas and different things that I'm unfamiliar with, but even things that I need to know more of. I start to use a lot of that stuff that's on there. So I use it more for just pinning those type of things. I also use it for humor. That's great jokes that come out on Pinterest, and so that's one of those things that I like. But my wife likes to use it for other types of things that are actually more useful for like recipes. That's a big thing on that. She also uses it for DIY ideas for home arts and crafts and those type of things. So all of these things that are actually coming through, what we decide, well, what I told her that I want to pick up. Now, I spent $300 on the course, and then also it had a powerful upsell I couldn't resist. I ended up spending an extra $200 on templates, which I don't think I even needed that either. But it was one of this lady, Melanie Duncan, who puts this course on. She is known to be one of, she's just a phenomenal marketer in general. And Pinterest is not only her only thing. She has like, she does a monogram business, and that's one thing.
Templates in that context, sample ad templates.
Yes, or not ad templates, but actually Pinterest templates. Yes, and also fonts that are on there as well. I think some of the things she has is bordering that's on there. So she talks a lot about these type of things that are going to be on that part of it. Now, some of the highlights that I want to make sure I share before I forget. Does anybody do Pinterest advertising using Pinterest ads? She said, I don't know how outdated this one part I heard it. She said the ads is still in beta. Has it gone out of beta? Is it now? Is full? How long does it take for approval now?
I don't know.
They go right through.
No, approval to get onto the ad platform. I'm sorry. I mean, because I know thinking you can get ads up within a few hours.
Basically, a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's automatic. You can
No, to get approved.
To be an advertiser.
It's all-
once you do an ad, whenever you post something that says, promote this pin, on every single thing.
Oh, good. Yeah, because she was saying that if you're going to start up a Pinterest account and you want to become an advertiser on it, that it could take 2 to 3 months for them to approve you to become an advertiser to do that.
was probably.
Yes. So, I did write to her before I bought it to ask her how updated it is, because I know these platforms change so fast, and they said they updated it just last year. But I guess again, that's one thing that's really good. So it's one thing that was noted that it was in beta, but I'm glad to hear that it's not, because I'm going to start doing it.
So Pinterest has paid ads. I thought Pinterest mostly the mechanism was to not pay.
Yeah, so there's a whole strategy to not paying, and that works really well. And that's what you can, because I haven't paid a thing. I didn't even know about how to use the advertising when we did it. So I'm going to talk more about that. But these are the things that she went over today that I thought, it might be useful to share now before I forget. I'm going to go on to probably some things that are going to distract me. But one thing that was interesting was 33% of PIN users click sponsored ad versus 18% will click on Facebook when doing a comparison of the same age and gender demographic. 33% of pinners or Pinterest users are more like or will click on sponsored ad versus 18% that click on Facebook. The more active and consistent you are on Pinterest, the faster you get approvals of a lot of different things, especially if you are going through approval process. One of her tips, I don't know if this is relevant enough or not because of being faster to approval, is that if you put your estimated spend budget a lot higher, because you'll get approved a lot faster because it shows you're more serious, and it's not a commitment. It just says, what are you going to do? Because what she did was she created like 7 different business accounts all at one time. And then 2 of them were really active for her monogram business. And she found that monogram business got approved like instantly. The other 5, which were smaller businesses, just didn't. It just took months. She said that didn't happen. And then she realized when she made activity on certain one, those would get picked up. So the activity was a big factor in one of those 2. Basically, Pinterest ads have a lot of rules. I'm not going to go over all the rules that are on there, but if you Google Pinterest ad rules, you'll be able to go in and see that it's no different than Google's ad rules and Facebook ad rules. They're going to no pornography, nothing that's actually inconsistent with your landing pages. It should be what you say on your ad should be basic. What's on your landing page, there should be some consistency on that. It should be honest. All these the basic things that are going to be on there. You make sure that you read through the rules, is what she also said. And then as far as the tips, your images should be high quality. You want to make sure that Pinterest is a high quality where everything gets a lot more activity if your images are actually better quality. That's the number one thing she said. You also want to put text on your images, because otherwise, if it's just going to be an image, it doesn't tell enough of the story. Putting actual text around the images is very important. And then she said your landing page, more important than anything else, your landing page should actually be a landing page that will convert, because you don't want to put all this effort into the Pinterest side and your landing page stinks, and then nobody can act, it doesn't help close the deal on that. So make sure you have a landing page that's a high converting landing page. Her big selling point to this course was all about these tall pins. Since I'm not a Pinterest user, I wasn't really aware of it. Do you guys use tall pins? That's a common thing to know.
Yes, that's the way that it's laid out.
It's bigger.
Well, it's
It's like this.
not like
So
the
it's
portrait, it's
vertical as
portrait
it's
style.
vertical as opposed to horizontal.
Yeah.
It fills up more space,
yeah.
because it goes in columns, so the longer your picture is, the more space it will take up, whereas if you have a portrait or a horizontal picture,
It'll be a square.
It's square and it shortens up because there isn't much height.
So here's her keys, 600 width pixels, and then between 900 to 2100 pixels tall. And that will get you, I guess, the most maximum highest converting type pins to be put up on the boards itself. One thing I don't have on here, but if you have a website, you should make sure that all of your images are pinnable. I mean, that's something that's also going to help you a lot to get.
What's the definition of pin?
There's a little code that you get. So if you go to Pinterest, business.pinterest.com, you can sign up for a free business account. And then from there, then you'll get actually the code that can be put onto your website that'll make all your images pinnable instantly from the website. And that way, Pinterest users who are logged in, or I think if they mouse over that, you can make it so the pin will come up, that pin will come up on it, on your images. They'll know what to do with that, and then they're more likely, highly more likely to go ahead and pin it on their, to their sites at that point. Yeah.
Probably too much for tonight, but I'd be really curious, we could sometime talk about whether you're better off having landing pages, for example, hosted LOD pages or something that's not on your website, right? Or the advantage of building them into your website for their SEO value.
Yes, so she talks about that too. So that's a great question. She actually is a big promoter of lead pages, and not as an affiliate. She said she didn't get any commission, but she's a good friend of Pat Flynn's, which he's actually aboard on that. But she is a big advocate, but she has her own development team. If she wasn't using her own development team, she would definitely say, she said lead pages is the way to go. So she was big on that. But she's also a really good marketer. So she has her own websites that are already doing her own, that actually are doing its own promotion on that point. But she also runs all of these consultations, the courses that are out there. So depending on the business model that she has, if you don't have a huge e-commerce catalog, she would actually say that lead pages would be the way for, especially for services and for digital products. She would she was all about using lead pages, and now for the ease of use for those that were out there. Yeah. Oh.
Did she talk about, like, I'm a little confused on how to get those. There's promoted pins and viable pins and rich pins.
She did talk about that.
I don't know the rich pins. I want to do the rich pins, but I can't figure it.
It has a lot more content. So you're hitting all the points. You got your picture, you get your text on it, you have text up there,
But there was something about that you could, like, once people pin a rich pin, like if you put that product on sale, it's gonna hit, and I can't. I'm not.
So okay, so what happens is the rich pins actually has code that's on your website, and it has metadata that's on it. So if your website changes the price on it, Pinterest is linked to that to recognize that, and it actually will change the price on Pinterest. It is actually communicating with your website or wherever the rich pins are. Now, like I said, full disclaimer, I just went through the course. I haven't done anything. Next month, I hope to have some case studies of using what I've learned on there.
Even if, like, what if you're promoting an Amazon product? Is it talking Amazon?
Okay, so you cannot rich pin into Amazon, but Etsy is ready for it.
Etsy?
Yes. So if you're on Etsy, it's already a platform that's made for it. That's what she said. I don't know about Amazon. Yeah, so Shopify is as well. Yeah, but because Amazon, they have to actually, I guess, open it up to have that happen, to go, which I'm kind of surprised or not. But the thing is, so she was also saying you can have, so Shopify can be on part of your own site. Etsy, of course, is its own platform, but if you have your own store on Etsy, all of those can be rich pins because it's already pre-made for that. And the cool thing about the rich pins is that I guess it can even notify people who pin if your price drops more than 10%. So it stimulates sales on that way too. So she was saying that's a really good, she said that there's always the good and the bad, a little bit of the, not say the bad, the thing that was a little, I guess, not optimal is that there's a little less control of how the pin looks. So it's not as pretty, but it doesn't matter. People are pinning it anyway. They're about maybe if the sale is dropping, but so you make sure whatever is already up there is looking good in the way that it is. So she did talk about but that's the extent that she talked about the rich pins, is that how to do that. Multi-image design. So when you're using the tall images, what are they? Yeah, the tall image. She was saying that also what seems to get a lot higher click through is that when you have multiple images on top of the tall image, not just one big tall one, but they actually will piecemeal it into segments of its own, so that it's not like just a picture of a face. It would have like multiple faces of your product being used if it's a makeup type thing. A lot of things she talked about too is having your image tell a story in itself if it's a little tutorial. Like if it's an eyeliner, you know, the person showing the first image would be inside this one big one. The first square would be opening the cap, second one would be standing in the mirror, next one putting an eye, or going through the whole steps, and then with the going all the way at the end, the final result. But she was talking about using these images as almost a tutorial type thing, and that actually is really powerful as well. It also gets repinned a lot more. She was also mentioning on that. Make sure you always add a watermark and a logo on your image if you want to make sure your branding is always maintained as much as possible. That's another thing. I guess she said a lot of people just forget about doing that. A compelling headline is also really helpful in getting a lot more clicks, but more so, so did I miss it? She talked about the description. Okay, yeah, so to use keywords in your description, anytime you're gonna pin something onto your boards, because a lot of times you're not gonna only pin your own stuff. One way to actually make sure that you get a following of people who like you is that you also pin stuff you find that's highly relevant to your products. And then when you pin it though, make sure you put your own descriptions of something on why you liked it. Share about that, but put the keywords into it because it makes your whole board more relevant that you're talking about that's going on to it. The name of your board, use keywords. That's another thing. It's not on this list here, but I remember she was saying that when you create your boards are also indexed highly by not only Pinterest, but also it can be indexed by Google. So make sure that you're also doing it that way too. And then of course, in the back end, when you're putting your terms, I think this is for the actual ads, if I'm not mistaken. I think this is a segment. But when you get a chance to go to make your ads, your promotion, is there a section for keywords or your subject words in the back for the ads? Yeah, so look into, yeah, so she said put up to 30 words into that back end to make it as powerful as possible to do that. Those are the main things that she was going through on that. I do know for big retailers, I don't know, John, you might be interested in actually reaching out to them on this part of it, because you do Google Ads, PLA, the shopping ads.
Yep.
So I had a unique opportunity to actually have a couple of people from Pinterest come to my workplace because we're actually beta testing, or actually it's even alpha testing this new Pinterest that they're using. But what they're doing is we don't have to do any work because they're taking the feeds from our Google shopping feeds. And so our Google ads are just going straight to Pinterest, and they're being formatted and taking it from there. It needs to, they requires a third-party platform that's being used, which is our company that's used that to go ahead and do that. But that is something that they're going to be moving into. So if you're familiar with Google Shopping, you might want to ask if you could, on the beta testing, that can come out on that, because we're seeing, it's a little early to call it positive results, but we're seeing promising results. And the reason being is because Pinterest is still an interest. It's a discovery platform. So when people are actually thinking about buying a camera, and if they are on Pinterest and Pinterest users, they'll use the board to start collecting all this data to figure out what they want to buy. And then after that, they'll use their board to go ahead and. So it's kind of like using a shopping cart or a bookmarking system. I use Pinterest strictly almost for bookmarking. That's kind of what I use it a lot, to compile just all the different things that I come across that I don't want, if I ever want to reference back on there. So that's what kind of, the thing is, it takes longer for a conversion to happen because they're still in a discovery phase, and that happens. But once that phase starts to happen, you do start to see, we actually have conversion pixels, so we even know what is bought from what's going through. So if you have Shopify and you're actually make sure you're tracking even the dollar amounts that are coming through, and it's kind of important on that. And I'm sorry I don't have any demonstrations of Pinterest because, like I said, I was just going through it, but I'm hoping to get product and to build out something to go ahead and see what I can do. What is that?
I can show you some.
Oh yeah, if you're open to sharing, by all means.
Oh, Pinterest.
Yep. That'd be awesome, thank you. Go ahead and look at this one.
I don't know the login, do you have?
I can use my login if you want.
Yeah. We won't go into the back end. But,
I don't have the business account set up yet.
that's fine. I'll just go to a page and I'll show you some buy buttons. How it works.
What kind of products are you working with?
This would be a body jewelry company.
What?
Body jewelry.
Okay. So this is actually my pin account, and you can see what like a lot of Excel things will come up constantly because I always pin a lot of Excel secrets and shortcuts and nothing that comes up. SEO stuff that I come across, Pinterest is the best way for me to throw it all in there.
Are you on a board?
I have my own boards. I don't like joining other people's groups, or I don't like people joining me as a group. I just don't care for that.
Do you design jewelry or you source it?
Oh, we're sourcing. Yeah. Here's all my boards.
From all kinds of boards.
Okay. Thank you, girl. Okay. People.
It's the same thing.
So for this one, I have 74 different boards. You can pull them all up. Okay.
Where do you have that many boards?
With body jewelry, there's so many different parts. You know, this ear, that part, your nose.
They're different categories.
Yeah, the different categories, pretty much.
It's kind of one of the things she also talked about the different boards is like if it is left ear piercing, right ear piercing, and jewelry. But if people are searching left ear piercing, if that is just a subject in itself, by having a board on itself called left ear piercing board, that board is more likely to be found by others that are searching on Pinterest for left ear piercing.
Yeah. Let me show you. Let me go to the website and show you how we use Pinterest. Yeah. Yeah. Gotta spell it right. So I have a Shopify site. There you go. And you don't have a Pinterest in the toolbar? Yeah. Okay. So Okay, there's Pinterest right there. I can pin this to, what I do is I either have my daughter or VA go through and pin all my products. And with Shopify, it's really cool because you get a viable button, which means when you go over here to Pinterest,
You can go ahead and pin.
Do you have that selection in the Shopify dashboard where you set buy box, set a buy box?
It fills it in automatically. It was,
Yeah.
It does?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was a surprise to me when I pinned it for the first time. The price came up, it told us the
Cool.
image and everything. It was really
okay, so let's look at the, here's Pretty Flower plugs. You can see that there's prices on each and every one of these. And this is how it comes straight from the Shopify. There's a, right there is a buy button. It's really cool. They click it, they buy it right on the website. They don't get off and go to my website or anything else. It goes straight to PayPal or whatever you have. I get paid. I get notified through Shopify, and they never left Pinterest. That's part of the deal that Pinterest and Shopify and the other marketplaces are making.
So
And
is this, would this be considered a rich pin?
Yes,
What's that R word you're saying, Rich?
Rich.
rich.
Rich,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
I've been playing drums for a while. So.
Yeah.
Hearing just went away.
That's cool.
So back to the website, all you have to do is just hit the pin, and I would be pinning it to your board
Uh-huh.
because, well, I'm not going to do it, scare away the kids and and all that. So what else do you want to know? I mean, it's really easy to do the pinning to get Bible buttons up. I don't know of any other platform.
Are the images for Pinterest, are you creating any of them original, or are you using this kind of
I'm right from,
product art?
directly from the website.
So if you are selling product, another thing that they also said is it's tested, but she said that she has definitely higher conversions where the product is being pictured in use. If you're having like yoga outfits, that you actually show people actually doing yoga in your product in the studio, will have more in statistically.
It's
It
easier
should
to empathize with them.
Yeah, it should actually do better. But the other thing is that what you're going to want to do is if you're doing any type of thing that has like piercings, there you might want to even pin up like piercing safety secrets or checklists,
Right.
you know, on things to maintain your ears for healthy ears for those who like piercing. But you do all of these type of things that are just added benefits because people will pin that, share that, and it comes back to you. And then they'll see your products. And that's the whole thing about the branding system that Pinterest does, because it's still social. Yeah, it's not just like, yeah.
So this is, thank you, this is a great explanation of how you use it with the store. But you said that you use it with your kids and money site
Well,
as well.
yes.
And how do you drive traffic to your kids and money site?
So because one thing that was actually a big benefit to us is that we actually have downloadable worksheets and then also downloadable templates. And that's free. So those are actually highly looked for on stuff like on Pinterest. Like minus Play Money templates. So downloadable Play Money templates, if you do a search on Pinterest, that's some place where a lot of people would look for something like that anyway.
So they would come up on Pinterest and there would be a link to your site.
Yeah, so what my wife did is she pinned all of my templates on Pinterest. Now, if somebody else sees it, when they click on it, if they want it, they click on it, it'll take them to my site. That's the whole Pinterest is a feeding to, feed people to my site.
Yeah.
So I mean, another benefit would be if you could do videos on how to do certain things. You could also pin videos on there.
Right.
And she was saying that this is a big thing to go ahead and you want to use as a promotion as well, because it's not used as much by other people, but it also clicks.
Okay. I just typed in downloadable money templates.
Yeah, mine's. But you see all the tall pins? Man,
Yeah.
I gotta make some tall ones.
They take up more, especially on your phone, because there's only 2 columns when you go on your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the more
Type play
space
money
it takes,
templates.
Do you need this agenda?
Oh, yeah, on the camera.
Hey,
I think it's separate. There should be a.
Templates for people that like. Or is Pinterest give you, like Facebook and Instagram will give you a bunch of suggestions, or do you go outside to a third party to get content?
they'll give you the sizes, and then it's up to you to fill it in with content.
Actually, I think this is my one. On the bottom right corner. That, yeah, so that is definitely mine. That one is mine too. Yeah, those are actually my templates because you can fill them in.
So those users, those are just Pinterest users that liked, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
your template.
Yeah.
And
And they
so
put it on their
shows up.
boards.
Yeah.
They put it on their boards.
Well, they liked it so much they put it on their boards and share with their people.
And so if I were to click on Nona's
Which one is it?
Go ahead and click on this.
Okay. This one.
even though, would I go to her?
Yeah, it goes to my page.
It goes to the website, to the funnel.
Yeah, so it's like I said, it's an automatic feeder to that. Most of you probably already know this if you used it, but if you go to pinterest.com/source/your web address, you can see who pins your stuff on Pinterest. So I'll show you. I'll go ahead and show that real quickly. If you Pinterest. And then like mine is Kids Money Farm, so kidsmoneyfarm.com. And it'll show all of the different people who've pinned and what they've pinned on their boards. Yeah. Does anybody have a website they want to see if anybody's pinned stuff? Yeah. I'm sorry? For spares? SP.
When you see that contest today, it's just anybody who shows up at the site. When they say pin it,
I don't know much about Pinterest, but I believe like probably that.
Yeah, so these are all the stuff that people have pinned onto Pinterest on their accounts.
Not very much.
No, and you know what the thing is, so you have, if you sign up for business.pinterest.com and then put the code on, so if anybody's mousing over it and they are Pinterest users, the pin it will automatically, and then they'll know that, oh, I can just, they can pin it even if you don't have it on there, but it makes it easier for them and it reminds them to put it on their Pinterest walls.
So I'm on somebody else's website, and I've seen this before, like I'll be on a forum, if I hover over an image, I see the same, is that only visible because I have a Pinterest account, or is it visible to anybody that sees it?
I don't know. I think it's visible because you have it, but I'm not sure. Do you know that?
If you have a plugin in, either Chrome or.
Yeah.
Then it'll show up on. But like on my website down at the bottom where I have all the social media, I have a Pinterest button. And so that just facilitates me.
Going free to on Pinterest, it's created like from the site,
So people,
rather than going creating from scratch on. You can put a link to whatever site as a original pin on Pinterest that you create yourself. You can just do it the old-fashioned way, put your link, your website link into the pin. But I don't know if it won't have as strong.
a weight on, how it ranks. But you can go under your pin and pin it from your website, but I'm sure there's benefits to in having all of that. Because you don't get the price tag, I don't think, unless there's
Yeah,
a.
with the plugin, you get to pin any image or anything on it. But typically, like if you go to my Shopify store and look at just at right under my images or all the social media, you're just going to pin that product. There may be an image. If you have the plugin, you can pin a logo if you want it, or any other image. If I have a video on it, you can pin any of those.
I was finding, I didn't know about this, putting your name in with the Pinterest source, but like the analytics from the ads, it will show you, like, I just found the other day, people who have saved lots of your pins, and it had just several where they saved numerous things on pins, and I can click on those people. So I always try to go into people that have pinned my stuff, I go and look at their boards, if they have boards that are probably, important to my business, then I'll follow those boards and save some of their pins, and then
That's part of the strategy
Yeah.
for a good pinning is you go look at their stuff and follow them.
Yep.
And as well as being consistent, pinning every day.
So number one thing I took away from this, heck of a lot more work than I thought. Because I was hoping I could just learn the ads and just do the ads. But if you really want this thing to work out well, and the thing is, I've seen enough evidence of how powerful Pinterest is, and also because my wife uses it constantly. But the ideas that I can be just stimulated by it, as well as the buying process that comes, I definitely would recommend going ahead and putting the effort in for that, even the one pin. Yep.
How can you be able to find on Pinterest exactly, like for example, like my type of market that I'm in? How can you find out if there's anybody interested in that on Pinterest? Is there anything like as far as a finder we can go and see, or you just search on Pinterest?
You can do a search, and then you can filter through whether you're searching pins, boards, people, or I don't remember, or viable pins. I think there's even a section you can search for that. But if you're looking for boards that have chairs on them,
So you
type in chairs and then you find.
in the search, it'll, as soon as you start to type it, starts giving you lots of other keywords.
Yeah, and then once you click on that, and then you narrow it down to either boards of people or interests or whatever the other options are. Go in there and either follow, that's what I'll do, I'll follow all the boards, then I'll go and follow the people who have those boards, so that hopefully they'll follow me back rather than me just following my board, which is different than following somebody entirely. You can have somebody who follows your board but not following you.
I don't know if you can see it from back there, but I just started typing British Motor, and it finishes off with British Motorcycles. If you go to my shadow, British Motorcycles Vintage. That's what yours is, right? Yeah. So if you go down to that Vintage, and this is pulled up as an autofill. Bam.
Oftentimes there'll be sub-tabs underneath, like if you type in motivational, it'll have humor, spirituality, a whole bunch of other related tabs. It's a broad category, like humor or motivational. It'll give you a bunch of other tabs.
So
or different suggestions. Yeah.
Are you good? Are you good at graphic design? Are you pretty good at graphic design?
I try to do as much as I can.
Because what I would do is actually, you might want to try this. Based on her strategies, you make a tall pin that says 10 things you should know about British motorcycles or vintage British motorcycles. And then you put like 5 of them sporadically throughout. And then you put a list of the 10 things that are really interesting about the motorcycles as an infographic, and see how far that goes. And pin it up on there and tag it as a British motorcycle vintage 10 things. But make sure that that pin at the top says 10 things you might want, and then I don't know, whatever's interesting, 10 things about it. That makes them the coolest bikes around, whatever.
Now for my blog post, what I do is I make like actual large banners for it. Is that something that I can put on there, because basically what the post is going to be about is actually on the banner.
Yes. So that banner that you make, that picture, is going to link to that blog.
Yeah, make it.
Yes.
The banner is going to go
Otherwise, it's only gonna be like this.
I think I saw one we put on my site. I think it was like the first one was like one of the bandits for blocks, so maybe somebody put that on there, I suppose.
Maybe, I don't know. Huh. I guess, I mean, it would make sense. I mean, anything that's, Pinterest, the thing is, it's not, 80% of people on Pinterest are using it on mobile devices. That's the latest statistic. So like she was saying, if you can get it so that, you know, you have a long one, it takes up that much more space. They're gonna, one, get an opportunity to see it. But if they start sharing it, it should get out there. But they were talking a lot about, it's not just pictures. Like all of these pictures are really missing out on an opportunity. If they had text on it that said something, it could be a lot more clicks and shares on going through. Yeah.
Is there a local option like there is, they're advertising it through a local business?
She never mentioned anything about local. Yeah.
I don't think locals.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, can you talk about how many pins to do a day and consistency?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
How many did you say you should do every day?
You should do at least one a day, at least minimum to go ahead and do that. And
Just per board.
you know what? She didn't mention if it was board or not. She just said in the account that I would guess it would have to be for board if you want the board to really, yeah, because people are following boards.
Now, is each board a different subject?
Yes. So I got book and body fuels, which is the entire body fuel through the world, and then I got, you know,
Just earrings, just
nose and other parts.
as the arm.
Yes. So, yeah,
So
that's I learned when I started dropping. It was 5 times a day for every board, and we try to follow 5 people. And this is back when it was hard to get
That one you have to get approved.
approved. That helps me out because it shows that you're super active there.
yeah, she definitely said the more activity is going to get you noticed by them.
I do 5 a day, but I heard one other gal on Etsy, she does 50 a day.
That's a whole lot of,
I know.
because you got to be searching around and.
She goes up and 50 down.
Oh, she also did say that a lot of people don't know this, but you can repin your same stuff a little later in the, like later on. And she said, don't go crazy with this technique. But it-
Another audience.
It helps to bring it back up, kind of thing on the same boards and gets. You know, there's things. It's so funny because I went back to my boards. I didn't realize I pinned like the same thing 4 times on the same board because I forgot it was on there. But because it keeps on coming up, you might be interested in. So these are just for those who don't know Pinterest. These are basically the novice's way that uses Pinterest. Like there's a board. These are my boards. Pinterest marketing. So anything that comes across Pinterest, I will start throwing it in here. Interesting tips, and this is my tutorials. That anything dealing with tutorials. I don't know where this wisdom came in. I don't think I did that.
So one pin in there.
I don't know where that came from. Cool object lessons because you know we still work with kids in the ministry and stuff. So you know there's that little science thing that just comes up. Of course, the humor. I was talking about health. Not a lot of things in there, but quotes. Wood transfer because we're doing wood transfer products at one time. Cool product. And this is the one that actually cool product ends up having me buy a lot of stuff, especially if it ends up going to Amazon. I mean, and the thing is, Pinterest feeds me a lot of the cool product ideas on that. For some reason, that's going on. So now, stuff I'd like. So this is actually my shopping list. That's why there's socks in it. But those are stuff that I, you know, like I think that was before I had an iPad and certain things that are in there. So this is where I put SEO. Anything that had SEO, good infographics, I'd be throwing it in here. And that was actually something. But Steve made a good point because I said, you know, I would use Pinterest for it. I also use Evernote. But I found out that people actually sometimes let their sites die, and then Pinterest it wouldn't work anymore. So then I would lose the real thing. You know, what I would do is I would actually copy the whole website into my Evernote, so that even if the website went away, I had it in my Evernote. And so I would do that for really important stuff that I really want to remember. I use Evernote for that. I don't know what sound like my job came from either. So some things just come up that I don't. But you know what? I've had this. My wife also was using this account to go in and pin stuff for me to get some stimulation. And then I noticed she also created a board for my pet trainer's choice. The bug spray product I had.
Copy the entire website.
I actually hit Control A and just copy it and paste it into Evernote. And that way. Yeah. Yeah. And, yeah, so she started pinning stuff on here for my product to just get more stimulation out of that and see what happens. But so that's pretty much, like I said, unfortunately, I'm sorry, I wish I could really get into it because I just was going through the course. I haven't actually started working on it, but I am going to be going ahead and doing something on that later.
What was the search you said to find the one with your money, the money one? Search it.
Search.
What should I search on Pinterest to get to the one?
Oh, Play Money Templates.
Play Money Templates.
Yeah. So that actually has my things on there. I just wanted to go over a quick test that I ran that I thought was kind of interesting because a lot of people do sell on Amazon. Basically the blue is the sales of my my pet spray. It's pretty. This level here is 1. So from July 1st through August 18th, I believe. You can say I only made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 sales in a month, and that's all that's been selling. Not doing anything, just letting Amazon just let the product sit up there and just see where it's at. So I hit about 20 units left out of the 600 that I actually ended up having, and I decided I wanted to see how effective AdWords is again on it. Since I have almost 6 weeks worth of history of what my sales are like, it's usually 1 every 3 or 4 days. I guess it'd be, if you spread it all out, maybe even every 5 days. So not very many sales. And as you can see, the orange line is how many clicks came from AdWords. We're using only about 8 keywords that I'm targeting. Carpet pee cleaner, dog urine cleaner, dog odor remover. And those, so really, and I haven't bid anything more than 80 cents per hit as well. And as you can see, what happens is that sales became more steady within this range here. 1, 1, 1, 1 here, and then it jumped up to 3, and then I had a 5-day, and then I had 2 yesterday. I don't know how much I had today, but that's just over the last, since the 18 or 19 that came through. Now, if you're looking at the numbers this way, just to show basically, to the bottom here, these numbers that you're seeing across here, $479 in sales. Now that's for the whole period that came out of that, from all the way from July. And with the ad spend that I had was $90. But if I take out, because what it's saying is that I had 5 times the return on my ad spend. But if I hide this, I think my numbers will drop. No. Okay, so basically, this is only from when the ads were running from 8:20 till yesterday. $290 in sales. My ad spend is $90.34. So this is my return on ad spend. Is I had 3 times the amount of revenue versus my ad spend, which is about 30% ad cost of what I did. I make about 30% return on it. So the benefit though to this is, with Amazon, for those of you who sell on Amazon, you know, if you get momentum going up on that, then your organic ranking starts to, it went from 74,000 ranking, that means in the pet category, I was 74,000 away from the top spot for my pet category. By the time on the 4th day, before I hit the 3rd mark, I jumped up to 27,000, just from some momentum. If I kept it going, it'd probably, I mean, the ads are still running, but I'm only doing 80 cents. My average ad position is 90% of my ads are only going to mobile, based on my statistic that I saw. So mobile conversions in itself is a lot harder to make a sale on mobile than it is on desktop. But from what I can tell, everything is actually coming through that. Now, just so you know, what happens is whenever somebody sees my ad, they are being sent not directly to Amazon, but they're being sent to my to my page here. So it's not the easiest way for someone to make a purchase. But I found that if I send them directly to Amazon, I don't get any sales from the ads.
So you're not sending them to Amazon, you're sending them to your site.
The reason being is that I have a commodity that when they go directly to Amazon, all my competition is around them. And what ends up happening is they end up usually buying somebody else's cheaper, because I'm not really, I mean, we actually, a lot of the private label all use the same manufacturer that I use. We all use the same. But if they come here first and they spend a little time reading the stuff, and then they see that I have, my 100% money back guarantee, no risk guarantee, everything else. By the time they get to Amazon, they're not wasting their time looking at somebody else. At this point, they'll buy from me. I don't know if it's a trust factor or what it is, but my conversions skyrocket compared to if they're going direct. I mean, it's nice. There's been times I actually ran directly to Amazon, shut it off, and directly to this site. No sales from Amazon.
Why are you bothering with Amazon then? Why not just put it through Shopify?
I had a Shopify, didn't make any sales that way.
Is that so when you do the Google AdWords, is there a difference through the AdWords of going to Shopify versus going to
ad copy conversion? So the ad copy you use on AdWords, we look at the data. If you have Amazon in there and you show review count, builds that trust immediately. It's like, hey, it's being sold on Amazon. Oh, okay. It's just like it was a night and day difference when we send it to a Shopify site versus a Amazon site.
What's the difference? Fulfillment by Amazon?
We still use that.
No, I mean.
Yeah, fulfillment by Amazon too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're not getting the juice that you're talking about with the ad copy, with having Amazon in the text, because you're sending it directly to this site and then to Amazon.
Yeah. But I think he had a good point. It's because it's also fulfilled by Amazon. It's a 2-day Prime member. They get free shipping, and it's easy for them to convert that way. So that's why but it ended up converting. That's one of the main things on that. Yeah.
Wait, so you're driving traffic from Amazon to your website?
No, from here to Amazon.
From your website to Amazon?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were going the other way around.
No, but anytime I send them directly to Amazon, it doesn't sell.
But that,
When you
you
send
send
it
it,
directly to Amazon?
Nope. Yeah,
Is that
correct.
what you're doing right now?
No, I'm sending it to here first. And then they click on here, and then from here it goes directly to Amazon.
He's pre-qualifying them.
Yeah.
And
It's a bridge
you know,
page.
yourself here saying he has more real estate on the screen right here than on the Amazon. But you don't lose anybody on the way, like how do you know that?
You know what? It's like Steve, 100% click through to Amazon.
Wow.
I thought before it was 80%, and I thought that was crazy good. But this last run, I think I have a 0.10 bounce rate, and I think that's only because I didn't go. I mean, I don't know, but it's 100% click through now. That's coming through that. Yeah. Yeah.
What if you don't have any other competition for the product you're selling on Amazon?
Then I would go to Amazon because when we service actually clients that have either they just dominate because they have the recognition, the branding, and everything else already in there. In Amazon, you send them directly to Amazon. That's where you see the conversion, and we can track that. You can't track Amazon conversions in theory, but we can track when the clicks are going that it actually follow with the amount of sales. And the other thing is that person or that client that we were servicing at the time got hijacked. So we changed all the URLs to go directly, bypassing the hijacking listing, so it was their listing, and they could still see they were getting 10 to 15% of the sales. And the only way anybody could get there is if they were using our link, so that we knew the ads were working. So yeah, if you don't have competition, because that is my theory as to why I'm not getting sales when it goes to Amazon, is that there's too many people with higher reviews, cheaper, everything, the competition, but when they come here, they're pre-qualifying themselves, and by the time they get to the other side, they're like, might as well buy. I mean, if they don't like it, they can always get a refund. They know where to go.
Chris, when they click on this or order on Amazon Now button, doesn't that take them right to the checkout page? They're not seeing these other products anymore, are they?
They do. So this is where it goes.
Okay.
If you notice, though, it does say PetTrainersChoice.com/buy now. That's popped up first, and then there's actually a what do they call that? Super URL. This URL is actually so it kind of makes it look like, or tells Amazon someone did the search, but I don't know if that really works as much. It used to work really well to make that keyword rank better, but they end up on my actual buying page.
Okay, but I don't see any other products.
Yeah, you only put on one product, or do you have more?
They can still be on-
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so the competition is there. Well,
You can't get rid of that.
Shipping is prime, it's nothing, but if they went sit on your side, they'd have to pay for shipping.
you can't buy it on my site. I took down the Shopify because I was just paying like 14 or 20 bucks a month and it wasn't selling anything.
And how much would you have to pay for shipping? For the customer?
You know what? Actually, we didn't charge shipping.
Really?
Yeah, because it was fulfilled by Amazon anyway. And I wasn't making any sales. I think I sold one.
So if it's the same, basically your competition selling the same type of product you are they getting at a cheaper price? They want to lower the price, or just with the profit margins, they just want to do that?
So basically, I know for a fact that this product here, this one, that one, that all will have all the same manufacturer, same formula.
What's the price difference, for example, on one of the products?
And so that's another thing, and you didn't see on the chart. Before I started running the ads, I raised the price. So on the right-hand side here, you can see the price. What I was doing is, so here's a little trick that I thought used to work really well, is that I would change the price, 10 cents, 15 cents, 20 cents, up and down, and it would stimulate actually Amazon trying to put me back on top to see if it would work, and I would get sales. So I would keep on changing the price, up and down, almost every other day, and then it stopped working. So as you can see, these are, well, the price history change on the right. I use camel because I forgot. I was changing it so much, I didn't realize. So this column here is my price changes, $18.99, and I would get some sales when the price went down, and then it would stop selling. So I changed it to $19.29, $19.88. It used to work. Even if I went up, it would change the price, and I would get sales. And then I brought it down to $18.79, and I'm thinking people were actually monitoring, is what I'm thinking, that they're either that or when you bring on the price, Amazon threw it up higher. But as you can see, when I changed it, it went back up. And once when the ads began, I decided, okay, I was at $18.79, but when I'm spending money on ads, I want to bring up the price a little bit. Set it to $19.49, and I've left it there since, not changing at all.
Maybe there's a built-in limit. Maybe just have it sparingly every now and then.
Could be, because I actually shared this, the pricing movement with somebody in the past, and I told them though it's not a strategy. You're only gonna get 1 or 2 extra sales here and there. You definitely want to go ahead and.
What if it works for like high volume account? Well, I mean, just in general. Take one of the high volume accounts, right? Because sometimes I'll take an item, put it in my cart, might put it in the safe for later, and then boom, there's a price change, big fat red banner. Hey, there was a price change in your cart, right?
Yep.
Maybe that's kind of.
That could be. It could be. That could be a strategy of shoppers. It really could. What is that?
Kind of a tickler file.
Yeah.
But if the price changes if it's too expensive, then it'll suggest another seller.
Oh.
Well, I've seen that before, it's where a price has changed and it says, oh, the price has changed by over $2 or whatever since you last checked it in your cart. View it from these other sellers, or you can just keep it in there because it knows when you put it in your save or your cart, it knows you put it in at that price. So it'll monitor monitors from that. Yeah, because I have a whole list for save for later.
Yeah.
I don't like to keep it in the shopping cart. That's when I'm like committed to buy something.
Yeah.
But I keep it in there for those notifications because if I go on my cart, it'll say, oh, some prices have changed it and you're saved for later. And so you go in there and it'll tell you what it was and what it changed to. But if you scroll down and if it's changed to it above, I don't know if it's a certain percentage or a certain dollar amount above or below what it has, or if there's one that's available at a cheaper price, it'll suggest it as well. I don't know what the margins are. I just know that it'll suggest changing sellers.
I think if it's a high volume, Steve, that person should choose split me. Yeah. Easier. And then also it'll track for you the differences of which work better, and then you could actually test that way. So that could be an option. Yeah.
So for pinning and creating either a landing page, because I'm looking to pin, I'm promoting an educational app for kids to learn prime numbers. So would it be more benefit? There is a website it's filled with lots of math help, lots of text and copy on there. It is an iTunes, it's in the iTunes store, and most of the activity is on mobile anyways. Do you know if it would be best to maybe go to a link, either to create a landing page or go to the website if that will transfer them to the iTunes store, or what would be the best way to get?
That's the bubbly primes, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because I was talking to him about that, and I was thinking her strategy that Melanie Duncan would suggest with that, because she did talk about apps, and she said it still came back down to almost that, what is, I forgot his name, the guy who did the jab. What was, yeah, Gary V. It's almost the same strategy that she was kind of mimicking, is that you would actually give content on like prime number worksheets, prime number strategies, like little infographics, and that would be the pinning that would actually take people to basically other pages or like a blog, but then in the end, always.
Images and stuff that we just need to get it pinnable, so I can start pinning there's tons of images on there, and everything that would be nice to pin.
Yeah.
They're more landscape that I would like. We want to convert all of that to portrait as well.
Yeah.
But so those ones can go back to the site. Let's say if it's a pin or an ad, then I'm going to promote the ad to try and get more purchases of the app.
Mm-hmm.
Would actually, I guess I could see if they could link directly to iTunes because people are on their phones.
I would probably say you want to go to a website. And then actually, if there's a video that can explain the power of knowing prime numbers well and how it benefits kids, I mean, if there's a statistic that can say that some of the kids who learn numbers better earlier get into college faster, that would be a winner. Because that seems to be for a lot of schools. There was some advertising copy I had read somewhere that they basically were advertising all over the place for this preschool and couldn't hardly get anybody in. And then somebody wrote some brilliant copy that said, kids that go to preschool at this certain age are like 90%, and it was a real thing, 90% more likely to go to college or get into college at this. And it wasn't even that if they go to my school. They just said if you go to and then it just branded at the bottom their own, and they sold out of all their spots within like 2 weeks. I mean, it was one of those things. So if you can explain the benefit of ads, of math in those things, I think you could probably get some. Because the app is, from what I saw, it was a fun game.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just getting people to play, knowing that there's a benefit behind it. Yeah.
I remember, I don't remember, last month I was talking about like 404 errors I was having. So I went ahead and cleaned them all up, and I found that it was like Shopify had almost 2 URLs per product. It was very strange, like the handle that they were using, it was like a collection of products, and then there was the URL was just products and then the actual product title. And it was confusing me because I would go in and fix it, and then I would see it pop up again. But when I actually looked closer, the URL was actually different. And I called Shopify about that. They didn't really have an answer for me why there's 2 different URLs per product. It was really strange. And I was like, I thought I just fixed that one, and I put it, on top of each other, and the handle is different. It's almost like if you go, to my site and just type in the product and go to it that way. It's almost like they're indexing it that way, and then indexing it, the full correct way, going through the whole, product page, collections, and the title. And it was really strange. So I went ahead and fixed all of it. I don't know why that was happening.
So it could get fixed? Because I was wondering if it's just cached. Is it possible? I don't know.
Even the tags, like for example, certain tags, like I don't put tags in the store anymore. Like we had tags on our blogs, they keep coming back as 404s. Like if you click on it, like nothing but problem.
Huh.
So all my tags, I got rid of all tags and just like revert them back to the blog or whatever it is. So I don't use any tags on the Shopify store.
You can't be the only one with that problem. I would actually, you have to try a forum on that. Shopify, honestly, I gave up on it because it was so hard to make a nice design. And I have ugly websites, but I didn't want it to be even more plain. Steven built that Pet Trainer's Choice one for me, and I wanted it to look like that, and I couldn't get Shopify to make it look like that.
Yeah.
So,
It works, it converts well, but it's, no matter what I do, how much time I spend on it, I can't get the theme the way I want.
Yeah, you got to pay a lot of money for a good designer who knows Shopify, then you can get it to it. But I wasn't worth doing that for one product.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Oh, has anybody seen the new headline or header banner button that's appearing in the campaign manager for Amazon? That you can now create banners even from the sponsored ads campaign manager?
The video thing?
No, there's a button now that's appearing, and it says new. And I was wondering, the thing is, I couldn't do it because you need products, and I only have one. Here, headline search ads. I don't know if you can see it at the top. It says new. So you can now create headline search ads right in sponsored ads. You don't have to have an AMS account, which used to be separated, which means there's going to be a lot more competition getting into this part where you can try to go through the process, and you can, create a campaign.
He didn't have that.
He's not having it? Oh.
We didn't see it there.
And then you can choose your product to put in here, but if you see it says add 3 more products. I only have 1, so I couldn't do more. But if that's true, then what you can do is if you have multiple products, you can now create banners pretty easily and use it. And I'm probably not going to renew getting more of this product because I got hit with probably about $1,800 worth of storage fees during the time frame that I had it there, because my product is so heavy, it takes so much space. But I don't want to get rid of this account yet for Amazon, so I'm going to send up a whole bunch of small stuff that I can go ahead and use Pinterest on it and go ahead and start selling things through this so that I can still test Amazon stuff that's on there. But if anybody's using this and has any good results that you can share, I would love to hear more about what's working on that, because that's pretty powerful if you can get those banners up there, and how high they convert would be interesting to see. Problem with Amazon is they don't have the best statistics. They don't give you the best numbers. So we do have a few more minutes. I want to make sure if anybody has any questions that they've been dying to ask, to make sure that give you some time to ask and then get questions answered. Anybody have any questions?
Just what you're talking right here. This headline search, I can't read what you're in when you find that.
Oh, so I'm in the advertising and the campaign manager. This is the Amazon seller. This is the back end of Amazon as a seller. Yeah. Yeah, Seller Central.
Seller Central. I didn't realize that's where you were. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's where you go for the sponsored ads. So even my month to date, I actually turned on these ads, also my sponsored ads, but as you can see, I had no clicks, so it had no effect on my sales for everything that boosted my sales was actually all from Google AdWords. No.
So your campaigns and Amazon didn't.
No. So these actually are all auto campaigns, and they're at 50 cents and below. Because I got impressions, 874 impressions. If I was to ever get a sale on just one of them, at less than 50 cents, I have huge return on that investment. And we have seen people who are bidding like 15 to 25 cents, and they would get a sale here and there just from these ads that would come out. So I thought, I might as well try. I don't want to waste a lot of money going through. And I really wanted to make sure that I was testing more of the AdWords to see how much impact it would have on it. So that's why I turned it on anyway, because I'll be able to track that one and just subtract it out, but it didn't have an effect on it, even if the impressions came up. Anybody have anything else? Steven actually do you want to share what's going on with the ADA or?
Not yet. It's not really. I guess I can share it.
Well, he is sponsoring the group for tonight's meetup. So I want to.
No. So I'm not sure if everybody was here when I was asking you about the ADA, the American Digital Association, the new the websites and stuff like that I've been working on. But essentially, what we're going to be doing is turning it into a nonprofit organization, mainly geared towards small businesses to teach them all of the local business marketing aspects of digital marketing. So, like Yelp, Google My Business, basic search engine optimization, advanced if they want to learn pay-per-click marketing, a lot of Facebook stuff. So that's kind of what we're planning on doing, is training at least the basics for that, and then having the website as kind of a medium as far as to generate income. But one of the things I'd like feedback on is ways to promote that education. So one, this group is fantastic. There's business owners that come here all the time that learn that. A lot of us are regulars. But I'm trying to figure out, how can I reach more small businesses for that just education? It's not to sell them anything, but just straight educate them.
SBCD, Small Business Development Corporation. It's government sponsored. They have classes.
Oh yeah, COC holds a lot of their classes, right?
Yeah, they have classes up there.
See, that was one of the things we were looking at, was actually teaching inside of schools, like.
No, SCORE.
Oh, SCORE.
Oh, yeah, that's the one with a lot of
Because they.
professional retirees that were old entrepreneurs that
Yes.
that share their knowledge.
They didn't facilitate that, but they did create a class.
Yeah.
And they would promote it to
Really?
you. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But you can call and ask for
Okay.
say, hey.
John, do you guys do Pinterest with your business?
No, and I thought it was just a photo site, or a shared photo site. I didn't pay much attention to it. I checked my phone to see if I had a password for it. I don't have a password. So tomorrow I'll start playing around and take a look at it.
Yeah, because I'm wondering, I mean, was one thing that the Pinterest people shared at the meeting that I was at, I can't, because of the environment, I can't share who they were promoting or talking about, but in a very highly male industry product line that is that's sold out there, they were talking about how another retailer was promoting things that they sold that were very female oriented, that mostly females would purchase. And as they expanded the line, because it started doing well, and they started promoting things that were more male, where more males would buy, and as a demographic, it took off.
Do you happen to know what the demographics are of Pinterest? Is it mostly female?
I think it's 70% female.
Yeah, highly female,
Yeah.
younger, although I've got, older.
Yeah,
My
it's,
stuff is like 85% male.
yeah, and
I used to go on YouTube and some of the others.
that's why I'm thinking it might be actually quite surprising that when I heard what the product line that was actually being
I
taken
couldn't
up.
get a signal here. I was trying to look up Dean Safe on it. And
Oh, yeah.
or maybe pistol stage or something, because we sell thousands of
Is it Dean's
them.
plural
DEANSAFE.
or just single? Dean safe.
Only one.
I'm surprised there are any pictures up there.
There's pictures.
You got a lot.
I'll be good. That one in the far upper right. Quick story, it's selling on Amazon. And we had it for $249. Further up, it's a dormitory safe. And this is the season for it, all the way up to the top. And it's a tall skinny one. There it is on the far right. And you raise the price because it's a season from $249 to $299. We're the number one seller.
This one?
And it dropped right off the page of Amazon. And we lowered the price to $279 and never came back. We brought it back down to $249. The next day, we're in number one.
What do you attribute that to?
No idea. Amazon didn't feel that they want to sell it if they're going to give us like the number one spot.
They want to.
And they just didn't feel that it was going to sell at that price.
They have.
They also came out with 3 competitors to this product from
Really?
Amazon Basics. Yeah, well, I'll sell 3,000 to 5,000 of those in September and October.
You know what?
That's a safe bet.
The problem is the rest of the year it does nothing. So you've really got to make plans to do it right. Shipment comes in a month late, we're in trouble.
How do you ship those?
We designed the packaging to take a 10-foot drop and it'll do it. And we've, so far this year, we haven't had one return because of damage. Yeah. We also put a bunch of them in a warehouse in Chicago, so our average shipping day is 1.8 days. Because we're not using Amazon for fulfillment.
Heavy breakable items, and then Amazon doesn't allow me to use certain packaging. So, it's like, gosh, so.
You have about 40% male that are pinning.
Well, that surprised me because on YouTube it's 85%.
But see, the women want to buy their men gifts.
Exactly.
A little bit more.
Yeah, well. This is great.
Here.
Surprised how many
Now we
men
know
buy
what
mine.
women.
John, is this yours?
I can't see it from here.
The infographic? This gun storage solution? More guns in your safe?
Yeah, probably. We don't manufacture that, we retail that.
No, I mean, is that your infographic though? Did you guys create that?
Probably, yeah. A lot of times we'll even take the manufacturer stuff and redesign it because we'll rewrite their instructions, we'll redo their boxes. Because they just don't get it. They're one generation away from blacksmiths. See that gun safe pistol box on the left?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the #1 selling pistol box in the country right now. And we just sell tons of them. A lot of these products we now manufacture.
I'm just wondering if you like created, because I mean, the thing about Melanie Duncan is she's all about creating useful content. That if you took this and then you actually labeled the #1 reason why this is top selling safe, and then you just make a small infographic and you just list the benefits of it, and then pin it on Pinterest and have a couple of people start to see if it will take off on that way. That it could actually generate sales directly
I don't
from
know
it.
how to do that, but you've given me, I might sign up for that course. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what, the thing.
He's scrolling down and down and down, and this is something you had no idea was
Didn't even know.
going on.
Yeah, you have a lot of pins. I mean, these. You know what's interesting is you don't have videos though. I mean, you have a lot of videos out there, right?
Not a whole bunch. I got maybe 6 or 7.
That's all. Interesting is people are not pinning your videos. I mean, you should start pinning your videos on that.
Hey, Chris, how about a show of hands? How many people actually have a Pinterest account that do something?
Oh yeah, that's a good question.
I have a new one that's about to do so.
That do
How many
something.
people actually have a Pinterest account that they're doing something?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Even-
I just started working on Bubbly Primes.
Mhm.
Okay, so raise the cat.
You know what the thing is? They have a lot less user base than like something like Facebook, but they have a lot more active buyers on Pinterest than Facebook. That was just
Can we spend it? How many people are doing Facebook?
I'm about to launch a Facebook.
And-
Instagram.
Okay, how about Instagram?
I'm about to do that too.
Influencers?
Next month, I'll have all
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
Instagram advertising influencers.
tokens for Bubbly Primes.
Okay, they're on.
Yep.
Because you don't accept them. You get influencers.
Now, what's your point about all that?
No, I'm just trying to figure out where everybody's doing it.
Facebook, Instagram,
What?
I'm about to launch those 3 things.
How about
in
Twitter?
the next 2 weeks.
How about Twitter?
Yeah.
I don't know if my products.
Do you have any questions?
No, actually, I haven't started that. So I just came here to see what it was all about. But yeah, I haven't started anything yet.
Oh, do you have an idea?
I wanted to sell hair products,
Mhm.
like facial for people that are males, specifically beards, females, hair. But I don't